Hello, everyone. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime with our latest installment of Thursday's Child. So, today we are going to go back to the state of Alabama, which actually, I don't know why I say it back because we've not covered Alabama yet, but we're going to go to the state of Alabama and we're going to cover Daniel Barter, who went missing June 18th, 1959, in Lillian, Alabama, which is in Baldwin County, which I'm familiar with that because the job I have being a historical document preservationist, we've been handling a lot of documents and books from Baldwin County, Alabama. Been a job and a half on that one. So, 4-year-old Daniel Barter vanished while on a camping trip with his family in Lillian, Alabama. Now, on June 18th, 1959, Danny was one of 7 children born to Paul and Maxine Barter and was described as a happy child, which, oh, yeah, you got a lot of siblings. You could be one way or the other. You could either be really happy or really agitated. Take your pick. But on June 16th, 1959, Danny and 3 of his older siblings helped their parents load up the car, and the family hit the road for their camping vacation with Paul's brother, his uncle, Jim Barter, on Perdido Bay. So later that weekend, on the morning of June 18th, Danny and his mother ran to a store to grab a few items. When they returned, the family started gathering supplies to go fishing. So, this starts off as a great summer little vacation, go help mom with the groceries, pack everything up, go head to the lake to go, fishing, do the whole thing. Not at any point does this family realize that they're going to be losing one of their kids. So when they returned, the family started gathering the supplies to go fishing. Danny was barefoot and in a pair of gray boxers, grabbed a knee-high soda and began playing nearby. So everything is normal, like normal. Several minutes later, Maxine began to look around for Danny and realized she could not see him. Family began searching the area nearby and then up and down the beach for any signs of Danny. When it became apparent no one on the beach had seen Danny, that's when they called the police. So, didn't want to overreact, didn't want to panic. They did their own little search, but when they couldn't find him, that's when they called in the big guns. And then authorities began searching, both land and water, with bloodhounds, helicopters, divers, and horses. This is the thing that got me the most, and I didn't even think about this. They were actually catching and gutting alligators around the area just to make sure he didn't get got by a gator. That's crazy to even think about that. So they did all that. There was no trace of him. They didn't even find the knee high bottle that he was drinking from. So there was no even trace of that. Prior to his disappearance, Maxine recalled a man parked across from their home, and when he was noticed, he hastily drove away. Now, neighbors recall seeing the guy by the Barter boy's bedroom, and he fled before being identified. Mobile Police Department did discover footprints outside the window and made casts of the prints, but it's unknown where those prints are now. And there are also accounts from the morning of his disappearance where witnesses recalled a couple in a truck driving down the road leading to the campsite. So this is like, I think, in my opinion, one of the worst scenarios a parent could ever have, where you have multiple children and one disappears and instantly not knowing. Because this happened in, what did I say, 1956 or 1952? 1959, I'm sorry, 1959. And they never did find him. Never did. He has 6 siblings who were still looking and praying that, they're going to find him one day. And they even went so far and even did in 2006 did a age progression photos of him throughout life, and put those out there. Because again, his siblings are still hoping and praying that he's out there somewhere alive and that whoever took him gave him a happy life. And that's always the hope that if, he couldn't be with you and whoever did take him, you know, treated him well. So, but the parents died. And, you know, in 2006, NCMEC released the first age progressed photo of Danny as an adult age 52. And then three more photos released in years to come. And then in 2008, the FBI reopened Danny's case after receiving a tip that someone had overheard a public conversation discussing Danny's case. Unfortunately, nothing appears to have come from that. And then, as I said before, both Danny's parents have passed away without ever knowing what happened to him, but the siblings are still looking. So as long as he has siblings still looking for him, there's a shot that maybe he'll be found one day. My thought is somebody was looking to grab a kid. And based on that man being seen across the street from the house and at the bedroom window where the boys stayed, that tells me somebody was looking for a child. Now, whether it was something nefarious or they wanted to grab a child from a family that had a bunch of kids so they could, because they couldn't have a child. I'm hoping it was the latter, but who knows? Because I mean, this kid Danny was 4 years old. He could today not even realize that he's even a missing child, that anybody's even looking for him. And that's the thing. And it's amazing how many people, submit to the DNA profiles for like ancestry.com, 23andMe, whatever, and they find out that they have relatives that makes no sense that they're related to these people. And then find out, oh my God, I've been facing a milk carton for 20 years. But, this is also before that too. But it's one of those things. I'm going to put, the photos are going to be in this video. And if anybody out there who watches this recognizes this man based off the age progression, get a hold of the Mobile police. Let them know, like, hey, I know this guy. He's alive and or he passed away and his name was this when he died. And so they can get some closure here because this case has been going on since 1959. That's like 50, oh gosh, let's do the math here. 50, 66 years, almost 66 years since this kid's been taken. So he about, 70 years old now, and hopefully he's still alive out there and did not have a bad life because I covered a case not too long ago. There was another young woman who was taken away and raised by somebody else, and she didn't realize uh, that that she didn't belong to the people who raised her, and she had multiple siblings, and her children have, she had passed, and her kids had taken it up to figure out what was going on, and they closed that case. But like I said before, Danny Barter, who knows what happened to him. But like I said, I'm going to put his photos in the video, and if anybody sees these pictures and recognize this guy, put this out there, share it, because there's so many cases of missing people that never get solved, and I think it's simply because not enough evidence or not enough pictures or not enough coverage gets out there because somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. You got to believe that. So, but that's how I'm going to end this on this one. So this was Alabama. Daniel Barter, one of the oldest missing child cases they have that's never been solved. Danny Barter. So, but hug your loved ones, hug them all, hug them tight, because tomorrow's never guaranteed. And as I always say, be weird, be rude, be safe. It's Rebecca with Red True Crime. I'm out. Thank you again for tuning in. Bye.